Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of the Triple H podcast. Happy Hour Hoops, your one stop shop for enjoying a cold beverage, listening to our ice cold basketball takes, and just hearing everything NBA all the time from us. Jake and Dunny, as always. I am Donovan Holden alongside Jake Micah. Jake, how are you today? How you doing? What are we thinking?
I'm just we were talking about it before on the podcast, but we were really in the dark ages of sports. I mean, we're both appreciative of baseball guys. I don't think we'd say this is a baseball hating podcast or anything, but off like a high of the first weekend of football, fall turning a little bit. I don't know about you out there in Massachusetts, but we had like some fall weather at night. Last night was like a nice 60-degree night. So leaves are turning, weather's changing. And that means basketball is also right around the corner. And
right around the corner.
All the TV shows I've been trying to catch up on go to the wayside because we're watching games every night. So I'm feeling good, pretty much. The more we get towards fall, the better Jake will be the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, dude, I love fall, like you mentioned. I mean, the weather, I like fall weather. Football weather, some people like to call it. Football is back, as you mentioned. And then you get into October, where the NBA season is just always, seems to reboot around that time. My birthday is also in October. 2K is already out. It came out last week. It's just a good time of year, man. Good to be talking hoops today. And speaking of which, we got some news and notes that we're going to go over first. Then we got a little John Wall talk. We're going to talk Carmelo Anthony. He just appeared on Pardon My Take the other day. It was a great interview. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we have a nice historic debate at the end of the show. So follow along, stick along for that because it is going to be a good one. Jake, let's get right into the news and notes here. Denver Nuggets, they extend newcomer Aaron Gordon 4 years, I believe right around 90 million, low 90s. So yeah, it looks like Aaron Gordon's time in Denver is going to be elongated and he's going to stay. What did you think of the extension?
I mean, there wasn't like I feel like there was nothing else they could do pretty much. With the way that they traded, they gave everything they gave up for that deal and everything. Extending him is the only thing that made sense. He was a great piece. I mean, before Jamal Murray gets hurt, they're looking good. I mean, they were what did they go 8-0 to start the season when Aaron Gordon showed up from Orlando, or 8-0 or some kind of winning streak they were on when he joined the lineup. And so it's going to be great to see them together for a full year with that team. I think it was a smart signing. It's at good money. This is the core that Denver has to go with now. The next guy up is MPJ to get paid there. And I'm not sure on what the salary cap ramifications are right now, but I'm assuming they still have enough money to pay him if it's going to be a max or anything else next year. And really, when you're Denver, like, you're not getting free agents. They're not getting free agents to Denver. They've done a great job of team building there. Tim Connolly, their president of basketball ops, going out, great scouting department. I mean, grabbing Jokic. Murray was a top 5 pick. He's panned out. He's been incredible. Taking the chance on MPJ, being patient. Not a lot of teams were willing to do that. That's why he slipped. But obviously the talent's been there for him. So I love it. I think this is a great Nuggets core. I don't know if this is a core that will ever is a team that can still get to like the NBA finals or anything like that. One of those guys, Jokic has been great, but he hasn't. They've come close in these playoff series though. So I mean, it's a couple different bounces and going the other way. So I don't want to say anything about that, but I think this is a good step. Keep this core together and see what they can do.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was great for both sides because, as you mentioned, the money was pretty generous. It was a good deal for Gordon. It wasn't like it was a 1-2 year deal where he was getting skimped. This is a 4 year extension, and he's playing on a good team. I mean, I feel like the Aaron Gordon experience, even though it went pretty well when he first got there, I honestly think it was a little underwhelming. I think Denver fans would agree. I just think he didn't, although they were winning, he didn't really make a big splash. And I think they'll be able to exploit that, better, just having, better chemistry next season, spending a full season together. Now they plan to spend 4 seasons together because you put a guy like Aaron Gordon, who I always comp to Blake Griffin, because I think he can do just about anything Blake, in his better years could do. He's a really athletic four. He can stretch the floor. He can handle. He makes big defensive plays. So pairing a guy like that next to Jokic, I think, is just a great. And I thought it from the beginning when they first, made the trade. I think this is, or first acquired Gordon. I think this was great for their team. Now they extend him. Now we really get to see, how well this is going to work and if it plays out in the future.
Yeah, it's a solid move. Keep the team together and see what they got with a returning MVP and everything.
Yeah, and the only other real news since last time we've hopped on here is John Wall and the Houston Rockets have kind of mutually agreed to part ways, but in the form of a trade. John Wall clearly wants out of Houston, and the Houston Rockets probably don't want him on their roster, so they agreed that they're going to try to work out a trade and get John Wall to maybe one of his preferred teams, but that's not always the case. But definitely a new future, a new team for John Wall, coming soon, apparently. So that is something to keep our eyes on, and that is what we're going to talk about for a little bit. Our next subject here will be John Wall. Jake, we talked about it before we came on, but we don't really know what a real destination looks like for John Wall at this point in his career, what type of player he is anymore at this point in his career. And it's tough to even decide where we think he's going to go. But what are you thinking about this John Wall situation?
Yeah, I just no fucking clue what team is taking a chance on John Wall right now. And it's not because of any – I think John Wall looked pretty good in the 40 – he played 40 to 72 games. He had some very impressive games, some games that reminded us of that he still has it on some nights at least. I wonder if too, David Aldridge did an article today with The Athletic, made a good point that maybe he's sitting out all those games because he made a deal with the Rockets like this, that they were kind of keeping him healthy and putting him on a pitch count for the season so that he eventually could get moved. And maybe he just wanted to be fully healthy. I think he still brings value. It's just where he's got $91 million left on his deal. Who wants to take that money on? So, I mean, we've got a couple of teams that we were thinking about. It's tough to find the partners to do this with. And I don't know, man. I think the Mavericks are the team that first popped into my head because they were trying to make a deal for Dragic. They were willing to spend that kind of money. This is obviously more of a financial commitment than that. But, I mean, Porzingis is, I think, up after this year, and they'll have some more money to spend. And I don't know. I feel like John Wall next to Luka would be a pretty good fit, too. I just don't know if the money is what concerns me about it. But are there any other destinations that you were thinking of that would really be taking a chance on John Wall right now?
So when I first saw this, just immediate thing that comes to the brain is a team that needs a point guard. First thing for me was Philly because of what we talked about last week with Ben Simmons being a dumpster fire over there, and the whole situation. Not Ben Simmons is a dumpster fire. The situation is, yeah, a little bit. But so I'm thinking that I'm like John Wall and Embiid like that. That could be cool. And then but I don't know. Is there a reasonable trade that can be worked out between Houston and Philadelphia where John Wall ends up in Philly, Ben Simmons ends up as a Rocket? I don't know how I feel about Ben Simmons in this Rockets team.
I had one Galaxy Brain trade because I think there's only one way that you do it, and it's a send for both teams. So hear me out. It's Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey. That's it right there. Those two players to the Rockets for Jalen Green and John Wall. Now, I know the Rockets don't want to trade Jalen Green, obviously. That's the hang-up. The Rockets are the ones saying no, right? Like, he's going to be a superstar. He's their number 2 pick, et cetera, whatever. But they don't have anything else to get another guy in there right now. And I feel like Jalen Green is more of a boomer bust player than everybody is giving him credit for. That was the narrative around him coming out of the combine, or before the combine, before the offseason really started. Like, he wasn't one of the top 5 guys until really like the end of the Ignite season and towards the workouts. Like he was a top 5 guy, but number 2 was not where he was. Like Kuminga was still high up before the season started. There was a process of it, and it was because there were worries about him being like another. I saw somebody compare him to like another Jordan Clarkson type player, where he is not going to have like there's a chance he's not good at all on defense, right? And so he's not bringing that value to your team. So you're asking him to just be a 6'5" dominant scorer. How many of those are in the league right now? James Harden. Luka is like 6'7". Like all these guys have a good amount of size, or they're just incredible shooters at a smaller size. I'm just worried about the potential of Jalen Green being just one of like these high volume guys that doesn't work out. And if you're the Rockets, getting a guy, Simmons just getting his own team. We've made that argument a million times. I don't think the Rockets are worried about that. That's just my potential hang up with Jalen Green. I think Simmons being on his own team would be very good and could do something like that. I don't think the Rockets would do it, but I think if you're the Sixers, that's the trade you would be looking for. If you could find a guy that threads the needle like that, Jalen Green in a Sixers environment where he's protected, he doesn't have to be the number 1 guy. He doesn't build these bad habits on a bad team. John Wall's going to handle the rock, and the offense is going to go through Embiid. Maybe he has a better chance to flourish. With this terrible Rockets teams, I'm just worried he's going to be putting up like 40 shots a night and hitting like 12 and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, that is for sure. You hit the nail on the head. That is a galaxy brain thought right there. Jalen Green on the move to Philly. That would be something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't know. It made the most sense to me because it just as far as a team needing a point guard, but like you kind of just walked us through, a trade between these two teams is either not going to happen or going to look really weird and turn some heads in a major way. One of the other teams that I thought of right away was Clippers, because I feel like there's been talks of this before. And this is an off season where we're going into next season. The Clippers do not have Patrick Beverley anymore. They don't have Rajon Rondo anymore. They have Reggie Jackson, and I mean, they do have Bledsoe now again, don't they?
So could he be on the move? I mean, is he a guy that you could flip in like a Clippers
he would probably be part of that, because I actually see Reggie Jackson's there, of course. I think Eric Bledsoe is irrelevant, especially, in comparison to John Wall. I would much rather have John Wall.
I feel like if you do that, Reggie Jackson has to be a part of that. Like the Rockets probably want Reggie Jackson too, right?
True. But
would you do that? The Clippers? Would you take? I would take John Wall, I think, over the combination of Reggie Jackson and Eric Bledsoe, just to get Bledsoe off the team as much as anything.
Reggie literally was willing them to victories in the playoffs last year when Kawhi got hurt. Obviously, PG was doing his part too, but Reggie, I mean, looked like he was the best player on the court in some games. But I feel like John Wall, whoever he gets traded for on this Clippers team just makes a lot of sense to me. I feel like he would mesh well with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They're kind of all, John Wall is a little older than those two guys, but they were all like flourishing at the same time on different teams at one point in their career.
Yeah.
I feel like they all kind of play with a similar chip on their shoulder. They're all kind of got that dog mentality. And they're straight hoopers, all three of those guys. I think it would be an interesting fit. I also think that Wall has more left in the tank than we might be, and I think the rest of the NBA world and community is giving him credit for. You mentioned he did, he played, less than half the season, right around half the season last year. And, that might have been done on purpose, but like you said, we still see the flashes. We still see the behind-the-back dunks on fast breaks. He still looks like one of the fastest guys in transition in the league. And I have it here, like just a few years ago, we were talking about Beal and Wall, like arguably being the best backcourt in the league. Of course, there was Steph and Clay at the time, so no one truly believed that. But those two guys did. Wall and Beal said in interviews that they thought they were legitimately the best backcourt in the league. They didn't think anyone was better than them. obviously Wall's career has gone south since he left Washington, but I don't think it's over by any means. And yeah, I'm interested to see where he ends up, honestly.
It's going to be fun. I think he can still be effective. I really like that fit with the Clippers now more than I'm thinking about it too, because Kawhi has really wanted just like a point guard, pass first, playmaking point guard, and John Wall could fit that role really nicely without having to take on that kind of scoring load with that team. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, and let me ask you this quickly before we move on to the next subject. Do you, at this point in his career, do you still think Wall's a starter wherever he goes, or does it depend on team, or do you think he's not starting anywhere?
I think he should be a starter wherever he goes. Still, I mean, because the teams that are going to trade for him, at least, I would put him as a starter. Like if he goes to the Clippers, yeah, he should be a starter. If he was on the Mavericks, yeah, he'd be a starter. Like he's not starting over like any even I don't even think he would start over Kemba in New York or something on that kind of deal.
No, I don't think so either. It's crazy.
Go ahead.
I think before the Celtics made some of their last few moves this offseason, I wouldn't have minded seeing a John Wall in Boston. Obviously, contract would have been my biggest issue with it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it didn't happen, if that was ever even a thought for the Celtics. But, hey, I wouldn't have
Bradley Beal's pretty much already on the payroll for next year anyway.
Yeah.
So I think they think that money's locked up. It's not going anywhere.
If you go deep enough into Celtics Twitter, you could probably already find a Bradley Beal Celtics jersey.
Oh, I believe it. Someone's got to show up to the Garden in a Beal Celtics jersey next year.
Oh, it'll happen.
I put down the Cavs too. If they can get rid of Kevin Love, I would much rather have John Wall on this team. Like get rid of Love and Rubio, and John Wall can play whatever role Ricky Rubio was going to play for them. And I'm cool.
Yeah, I mean, get rid of that K-Love contract, absorb that John Wall contract. I mean,
yeah, it's not bad. John Wall, Jared Allen pick and rolls, that would be electric, bro. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, but we'll see. We're going to keep tabs. We will keep you guys updated on John Wall. Just thought it'd be an interesting thing to talk about. And speaking of interesting, the Pardon My Take guys had Carmelo Anthony on their show Wednesday, and it was awesome. I listen to Pardon My Take every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They had Carmelo on. It was like over an hour-long interview, and it was awesome. You know, he talked about just everything from winning the national championship with Syracuse to him wanting to stay there after they won. And, you know, so many people involved with the basketball team telling him he had to go to the league. Like, he's definitely not coming back to school. Obviously, he does that. He has, you know, a great start to his career in Denver. Then he spoke on New York a little bit. I think one of the coolest things from the interview, and this was a great question by them, they asked, now that he's on the Lakers, he plays with LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Out of AD and LeBron, they asked, who's Batman, who's Robin?
Oh.
And this was, one, him being a great friend to LeBron, and two, just being a great teammate to both of them. He had a perfect answer. I was like, wow, they really just blindsided him and asked him this. He said, they're both Batman. AD and LeBron are both Batman guys. LeBron can never be a Robin, though, and AD can be Robin sometimes to LeBron's Batman. But they're both Batmans. He emphasized it a couple times. He was like, but if one of them like can be a Robin sometimes, it's AD because he can play that secondary role. That has never been LeBron's thing. That's never been a shtick. LeBron's always Batman. I thought it was a perfect answer, and I mean honestly,
that's the truth, right? Like that
right. That's what I was gonna say, and he's correct.
That's the truth. LeBron is the alpha in almost damn near every single room he walks in the United States of America. So that's no fault to Anthony Davis. That's just where we're at in the world.
They could have three Batmans now with Westbrook in the building.
Hey. Westbrook is Westbrook. I don't even know, bro. Westbrook is like Westbrook's like one of like these crazy like side heroes that just pops up and like fucks shit up for a while. And
he's got his own comic book.
He's like the Punisher. Like he's like a good guy, but he's also just like murking everybody else. And you're like, yo, this guy okay? Like, are we sure this guy is cool? And like, yeah, I think so. That's what he reminds me
Speaking of which, dude, like I'm starting to see the videos and just like still images of LeBron and Westbrook working together as
Oh, bro,
teammates in the gym.
nah, someone that was a photo shoot. That wasn't them working out. Why is Russ
Yeah,
wearing a
true.
hat? Why is Russ
Yeah.
wearing a hat while he's working out?
It was still sick. Like
I
I'll
just don't
definitely
believe they wear that shit. Like he's not wearing a hat for an actual workout. He's not wearing purple on purple Lake. Like,
no.
man,
But they
I was
probably
so
got some
mad.
shots up at the very least. Just seeing them on the hardwood together was like, and knowing that they're going to be teammates, I think that was
It's
just
gonna be so crazy, bro.
it was enough to get me super excited, honestly. I mean, Westbrook played with KD. I get that. And I literally fell in love with the Thunder basketball team during those years. But these two alongside each other is going to be, I think it's going to, I don't know. I don't even know what to anticipate.
It's gonna be electric. It's gonna be electric
yeah.
no matter how it goes. That's the thing, is if it goes bad, it's gonna be amazingly bad. Like, because these games, the way if they break down, it's gonna happen this year. There's gonna be some close game late where both of them are just throwing up bricks and like completely just like hogging, slowing down the offense and doing whatever those two do on each possession. And AD's just gonna be standing there like trying to get rebounds and shit. And Perk's gonna show up the next day like they have no offense, there's no flow, like all this shit. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be hilarious because all that shit's gonna happen, and they're still just gonna be so good because Russell Westbrook is still fucking incredible no matter what, and win like 60 games. And it's just, the discourse is gonna be amazing, just amazing. How about the fact that them and the Nets, the storylines that we will have for that Christmas Day game between all the players and all the paths that they have crossed in their career is just berserk to me, that this is how it's played out.
Oh, it's unreal. And I feel like the biggest like hate on Westbrook throughout his career has just been like he hasn't, been able to keep his head right. He makes bonehead decisions. He doesn't have a high basketball IQ.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about all the people who have said that it's so easy to play with LeBron James. And he basically makes all the IQ decisions for his teammates, like while he's playing on the same, like on the court with them. Like you don't have to think too much when you're LeBron James' teammate. I wonder if we just see a more focused, like level-headed. I mean, expect craziness from Russell Westbrook in LA. That's not what I'm saying. But in a sense where it looks more put together, it looks more ready for the assignment. It looks more just focused on win. That's it. I wonder if we just see that type of Westbrook emerge just solely from playing with LeBron James. But,
no, go ahead.
Time will tell. I was just going to say, we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. And we're getting back to where we were talking about how Melo fits in here.
Right.
I mean, Melo is like in the perfect complementary role, because I think Melo, we've seen it from what he was able to do with the Trailblazers. He still has it. Just he doesn't need to be the focal point, but he can still give you. There are plenty of games where I'm sitting there watching late night Trailblazers games and Melo has like 25 or 26, 27. Like he's the leading scorer. He's second behind Dame.
Or second. Yeah, exactly.
Those nights are gonna happen again. Especially, this is the easiest he'll have it in his basketball career. Melo is the spot up shooter that LeBron always has, and they need him to hit those shots. And I think that's exactly what you need from him right now. Like, he's one of the best shot makers we've ever seen, and now he just gets to get easy layup corner threes from Russell Westbrook or LeBron James. It's gonna be a great season from Melo, I think. He doesn't have to do a lot, and I think that it's going to accentuate what he's really good at late in his career right now.
Yeah, and he, being Carmelo Anthony, kind of alluded to that himself in the Part of My Take interview. This was something else I pulled from it. Not exactly in those words, but he was talking about how everyone gives him such high praise for being like Captain America when it came to Team USA ball. And, everyone's always seems so surprised that he thrives in a role like that. And he basically explained it as is like, he's this fantastic scorer. He's like, I can score the ball. Like I am a very good basketball player. I've done this my entire life. If you put me next to the best players in the world, and then he emphasized not the US, like the world. Like at that point the US was winning outright, like against everyone, and those were the best players from the US. He was like, why would I not thrive in that situation? And
Yeah.
that's kind of where he is right now. Like you said, he doesn't even have to do that much if he doesn't want to. He's not even going to be asked to. He's simply going to be asked to score the basketball alongside LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and I mean, we saw a glimpse of it. Dame made it easier for him in Portland, and he would come in and be that guy. He was like, "Oh, you guys just need buckets. Well, I'm Carmelo Anthony, one of the best, singular scorers in NBA history." And now he's gonna do it for LA alongside one of his best friends, LeBron James. I think he has a big role, just to kind of answer the just flat out question of what Carmelo in LA is going to look like. I think he actually has a huge role. I think there's going to be nights where he starts games, and even on nights where he doesn't, I think he'll be in there to finish them and be with that final 4-minute crew at the end of games.
Yeah, and just think of how crazy this is. The thing is, this is the discourse that gets crazy on Twitter for people that like us who haven't played in the NBA in our lives. But I think me and you are people that will value the opinions of NBA players enough to know that, like, whatever in general. Ask any NBA player, any role guy who is a two guard or a guard in the league. Hey, you're going to get to play on the basketball court with Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Anthony Davis. Everybody's signing up for that. Every single human being on earth is signing up for that. And when guys like that are telling you that, then you have to just listen to it. Like, those are all those guys are incredible basketball players. They're going to figure something out. Like, they're going to figure out a way to win games. The Lakers somehow put together like the old guys that are just going to have like the chip on their shoulders because everyone's going to call them old the whole year. The grumpy old men Lakers team. And it's going to be amazing to watch. It's just going to be LeBron. He did it again, regardless if they win a title or whatever. He did it again because this team will be the focal point, even with that other team out east in Brooklyn, New York. I think this is going to be the team of the season, no matter how it goes.
Yeah, and you mentioned, the title, whether they're there or not. Obviously, that's the goal. They have a pretty damn good chance with the squad that they have to win a title. But Carmelo Anthony, on the interview that, I've been talking about with Part of My Take, he did say he will not do a banana boat ride if he wins the title with LeBron. Apparently that whole thing, the iconic banana boat with Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, and LeBron James, Carmelo was on that vacation, didn't make the picture. He said he didn't want any business on that banana boat. He was like, that wasn't something I got left out of. They kind of asked me like when they were already on it, but I didn't want any part in it anyway. They said, are you going to, do a reunion? Are you going to do the banana boat if you guys win a title? He said no. So if anyone was thinking that might happen after the championship, it will not if that happens.
He's the honor, but the thing is, like, you can tell. I bet you could tell a good chunk of people that he's in that picture, and they would believe you without looking at it.
Because when they brought it up, I was like, Melo. "Oh yeah, Melo is in that," and they were like, "You didn't get in it," and I was like, "Oh, what?"
But he's the honorary banana boat boy, no matter what.
Yeah. And so if we're speaking Lakers here, we might as well go into our last segment, which is, and we're going to start doing these more regularly, just historic debates within the NBA. We're going to pick a topic, we're going to pick players, we're going to pick teams to discuss. More than likely, they're going to be, from generations ago, maybe last generation, maybe a few. Today we have a classic Celtics-Lakers rivalry. Who wins this series to 7? All the players are in their prime, though. And for the Lakers, we have Steve Nash at point, Kobe Bryant at the 2, Ron Artest, Metta World Peace at the 3, Pau Gasol at the 4, and Dwight Howard at the 5. So that's the Lakers starting 5 up against the Boston Celtics with Rajon Rondo at the 1, Ray Allen at the shooting guard. Small forward is Paul Pierce, KG power forward, and Shaquille O'Neal at the center for the Celtics. So all these guys in their prime. Who wins in a 7-game series? Jake, initial thoughts here.
Man, this is one of the hardest things I've looked at in a long time. Because the first time I looked at it, I was just I don't know why I didn't read in their prime the first time, like when I saw it the other day, and I was like, oh, that's easy. Like if those are the 10-11 Celtics and the 12-13 Lakers. I'm sorry, Donnie, I was taking Kobe and the Lakers at that point. But in their prime, man, I just don't know what Dwight. I think Shaq is making it a personal vendetta to destroy Dwight Howard, and I can't get that out of my mind. Like Shaq, could you imagine Shaq how bad he would want to bully Dwight Howard? It would be embarrassing at some plays. That's what keeps hanging me up. But then there's not another player on the level of Kobe Bryant, really, that I can think the Celtics. I don't know what the Celtics are doing with Kobe in his prime. Like, what's the best year of Kobe? One of those MVP years? I don't know what the Celtics are doing to him, any of those guys in their prime. But KG might be the answer to that. I don't know. That was my initial thoughts. I still don't even know who I'm picking yet, so I want to hear what you're going to say.
So a lot of similar thoughts, and to me, I had to like break it down, like just comparing position to position, but then I started doing like front court, back court. Anyway, I'm just gonna get to it. I think Celtics, Kevin Garnett and Shaq, they are both in their prime miles better than Pau Gasol and Dwight Howard. Like just comparing power forward center matchups, like Celtics win that by far, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But then you go Steve Nash and Kobe Bryant. I think they blow Rondo and Ray Allen out of the water.
Prime 06-07 Steve Nash with prime Kobe Bryant is
That's
terrifying.
what I'm saying. So
it's really like a core basketball thing. Like, what do you think would win? The two superstar guards or the most dynamic front court in NBA history? What would end up winning?
I think my final answer is the Celtics, and this is why. Because I gave the two guards, the advantage Lakers there. I think big men advantage for the Celtics, and then it comes down to Meta World Peace, Ron Artest, or Paul Pierce, and I think Paul Pierce. I will say I didn't realize how good Ron Artest was in his prime until I watched the Malice in the Palace doc the other day. But Paul Pierce obviously way better in his prime than Meta World Peace, Ron Artest. I think I'm going edge to the Celtics in this, but this is, for sure going 7 games. Probably a game or two where it's a bloodbath. We see a couple scrums. I don't know.
I'm stressing. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm already regretting picking the Celtics. So
is this game played in 2021?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like these questions need to be asked.
That's an important thing.
Shaq can't play his game if it's.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say if we're asking about these players in their prime, their mind, we're taking them out, putting them in right now. That their mind doesn't realize that it's all of them trying to mesh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the Celtics too. I can't get over KG. And I can't get over Shaq just wanting to destroy Dwight Howard.
Yeah,
and I think Kobe will steal enough games, but Ray Allen and Paul Pierce, I think, can do enough on the backcourt to help you out. Rondo's gonna give Steve Nash some shit as in his prime. Rondo would definitely give Steve Nash some tough nights, and Kobe some tough nights too.
They were, Rondo and Nash. I feel like both in their primes are a lot more similar than people like to think or even acknowledge. But like I said, I think Nash is obviously, the better of the two. But yeah, that was. Oof. I still don't even know if I'm sure about my answer.
I'm going with it. I think if you have a front court, as much as I love Kobe Bryant and as much as I love Steve Nash, I think if you have a front court of Kevin Garnett and Shaq, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to score on them in the paint at all. And it's going to be hard it's going to be hard to stop him, even if you have Dwight
Yeah.
Howard in his
I
prime.
don't
Like
even
Dwight
know
Howard
if
in
you
his prime
could
is not
build
stocking Shaq.
from any, like, you can take any two players from any two other teams. I don't know if you can even build a front court like all time that would beat out Shaq and KG. Maybe like
It
Tim
depends on your
Duncan and
prep. That's
Olajuwon.
The only other person I'm not. Well, I mean, if we're Kareem would be my number one front court guy.
True.
So, but
So like
that's
Kareem and
he would
Olajuwon maybe.
Kareem. I think Kareem and Garnett. It depends on your preference between KG
Yeah.
and Duncan, because KG. The thing about KG does not that he gets disrespected historically, but he's not thought of because of the titles, obviously, right? Like he has the one
No.
with Boston, but he barely made the playoffs in Minnesota, everything. If KG is gets picked by the Spurs, KG wins 6 titles with the Spurs or 5 titles with the Spurs. However many Duncan won, Kevin Garnett would have done the same thing. And so I think it's just like that's a really fun argument is Kevin Garnett versus Tim Duncan. And I've heard a lot of different sides on it, but I think I'd go KG and Kareem. But with Shaq, I mean, you can't go wrong with Shaquille O'Neal.
Most dominant player of all time.
Yeah. And Shaq, like imagine 0-1 Shaq against the best version of Dwight Howard. Dwight's getting demoralized in some of those games. Like Shaq's just doing spin moves and just like sitting on top of Dwight Howard after he dunks on him in so many games. It would just be incredible.
Yeah, it really would. And I enjoyed that thoroughly. I can't wait to continue doing this. We will keep doing these historic grades. Hey, maybe we'll even get Tim Duncan involved in the next one because that's just an important guy to bring up, and comparing them to other greats is it's a fun thing to do.
That's true. All right, so is there anything else before we go here? We got Thursday night. You can do our little time travel since this is going to be on Friday. Thursday night football tonight. We did a football. This is how we can end we can end with like one football segment. I feel like that's anybody who cares about basketball is tweeting about football right now too. So I feel like we're within range here. Like y'all, no one can fool themselves. Football is like the monoculture. We're just out here in little basketball world.
Yep.
It's so funny. Like the world stopped on Sunday when the NFL was turned on. Like there was nothing else going on in the world but football. And me and you talking about it, like we're so excited for this weekend just for the possibility of sitting in front of our TVs for 2 days straight watching all sorts of football. It's going to be amazing. And so any game you're looking forward to the most, college, NFL, besides the Patriots, we've got we should preface our Bills and Patriots fandom, big AFC East matchups this weekend. We'll both get wins against those scrub teams. No big deal there. So besides that, what are the games you're looking forward to?
Ooh, there was one I was thinking about earlier. I might have to pull it up. Oh, the Dallas Cowboys against the Los Angeles Chargers.
That's a fun one.
2, really explosive offenses. 2 also improved defenses. I think it'll be, great game for fantasy football. A lot of notable players in that matchup. I like a lot of players across the board on those teams. So Dallas and the Los Angeles Chargers.
All right, that's a good one. That's a good one for Sunday. That's the 4:00 too. That's Nance and Romo, I'm pretty sure. So that's like that's the game that makes me feel it. That's like the nice Sunday like warmth that you get is Jim Nance. And the CBS 4:00 game. Like that's just like all is right in the world. We do have Sunday Night Football is another round of Mahomes versus Lamar, Chiefs Ravens, but I think it's going to be a blowout. I think the Chiefs are going to work them. So I'm not even excited for it because I just don't like watching Lamar get smacked around by that defensive line of the Raiders and then what he's going to walk into with the Chiefs and seeing Mahomes and the Chiefs pretty effortlessly. Like that felt like the Browns played very well in that game last week. But it just kind of felt like, I don't know how much of you were probably focused in on the Pats game most of that time.
Yeah.
It felt like the greatest hits of the last couple of years of the Chiefs, like going down a little bit, but that even if they're down 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, that they're just going to come back and take the lead. It's automatic, bro. And so, I think that game isn't that exciting for me. just from that regard, but it'll be interesting theater to see. Saturday, Penn State, Auburn, Happy Valley, Whiteout, always a fun game. Auburn hasn't played on the road against a Big Ten team since 1931, Johnny. They have not played at a Big Ten team in 90 years. Top 25 teams. They're both kind of wild cards. No one really knows what to expect or how good they're going to be. So if you got a Saturday night, that's a good game. Alabama and Florida played on Saturday too. But Bama, I mean, if you want to watch Bama win by 3 touchdowns, go right ahead, because that's most likely it is fun. But you just know what you're getting with it. All right, well I'm excited about that coming up. We'll see what happens. Hopefully our bets go well. I don't know if yours did last weekend. Mine did not. So
nope.
No, it was not a great start. It was not a great start to football season for a lot of people. It was not.
Still loved it though.
All right. So yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week, probably on a new day as we're transitioning into our previews and getting ready for the NBA season coming soon. I don't know when we're gonna do that. But we'll keep rocking here with these Friday episodes as the season approaches. We're about the first game is the 18th, right? I'm pretty sure that it's the 18th.
Oh,
so
19th, I think.
Or 19th. Yeah, so we're just a little over a month away from tip-off on opening night. We get the Nets and Bucks, the Lakers and the Warriors. It's going to be a blast, folks. So subscribe to the podcast wherever you get podcasts. All that good stuff, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever. Follow us at Happy Hour Hoops 1. We'll be here live for all of football season or basketball season. Follow Trainwreck Sports for football season. All their coverage we can get there. Dunny and I are going to pop on What's Trainwreck Watching at some point to do some basketball docs. We got to figure that out. So we're going to be doing that too. We're coming at you all the way around. 2K's out, so we're going to get this 2K going. Did you play 2K at all? Have you bought it? I got it.
No, I haven't. I haven't got it yet. I've been more football talk. I've been wrapped into Madden.
True. Honestly,
Madden. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. I forgot you guys do the draft league, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's intense.
But 2K season is coming soon. We're gonna we've talked about it. We've discussed it. We're going to try to get into Twitch a little bit. We're going to maybe do a live podcast while playing each other. We have big plans for 2K coming up. So stay tuned for that as well.
Keep it locked. I've been locked in on Madden too. I tried to play 2K a little bit last night, and then all I'm thinking about right now is playing a franchise game of Madden. Like it's just sucked in right now. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll get it cracking. All right. Let's get out of here. Enjoy this, and thank you for sticking around here. Follow us at Happy Hour Hoops. Subscribe everywhere. We'll be back next week, starting our previews up. NBA season around the corner. Keep it locked. Stay thirsty. Stay hydrated. Whatever that was supposed to be. I guess both. We kind of want you to drink whatever